Welcome to the Lead Gen Leaders Podcast, connecting you to the leading minds in home improvement to discuss all things marketing and leadership. And now, your host, Kyle Powers.
Welcome to the Lead Gen Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Powers. A very interesting guest on the show today. He got his start years ago in the family roofing and remodeling business. Kind of worked his way up through the ranks, becoming head of marketing for a very large solar company where he was in charge of buying thousands and thousands of inbound leads every year to keep that solar company filled with appointments, and has since actually moved on to becoming sales director at the company that he utilized when buying all his leads, called Active Prospect. So here today to talk all about the different technology in the home improvement, home services spaces that can help you generate and convert leads. I'd like to welcome to the show, Ruben Ugarte. Hello, Ruben.
Hey, Kyle. How are you?
I'm doing well today, and yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday to you. And, really excited to talk to you today about some things that I've really been diving into more and more as technology gets better. But it is just that, talking about technology in lead acquisition as well as the tech then to help you convert those leads better. But before we get into to all that, could you give the listeners a little background, kind of who you are in your history in the home improvement / home services industry?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Ruben Ugarte. I'm the director of home services for Active Prospect. We are a consent-based marketing lead acquisition technology based out of Austin, Texas. And a little bit of background on myself. I come from some construction roots. My family owns a roofing company in Los Angeles, Eagle Rock, California. Is a little bit outside of Los Angeles, and I grew up, tearing roofs off and stepping on nails, and really admire the residential construction industry because my family has been part of it for so many years. I eventually transitioned at the end of 2008, 2009 into solar power. Had a lot of our roofing clients asking about solar almost every week and every other day. So decided to move on from my family's business and got into residential and commercial solar, where I sold residential solar for Real Good Solar. Rest in peace. They recently went under. But residential solar to me was a big piece of my development into clean tech, and worked selling residential solar to homeowners at the kitchen table for many years. Transitioned into a business development role where I was a primary lead purchaser for a residential national solar company called Horizon Solar Power. I got the opportunity to work for a growing firm that gave me the keys to a large media budget every month, where I was able to purchase leads for a growing call center. At our peak, I think we had about 120 phone agents making appointments for a sales team that was somewhere between 50 and 60 strong. And through that process and through that role, I learned a lot about lead acquisition and working with lead vendors and producing leads from various marketing sources. Several years ago, I decided to leave and move on from the residential contractor side and took my role here at Active Prospect, where now I service a growing portfolio of home service brands, anyone from Terminex to Home Advisor to some of the largest roofing and window contractors in the U.S. And I'm just excited to be here with you and tell you more about my learnings and some of the things that I'm seeing out there in regard to technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the show. And just for a quick reference point, I know we touched base on it. Having a call center of 100, people and sales reps in the 50 or 60, pretty solid there. You said, how many leads were you purchasing on a monthly or annual kind of budget there to fulfill that?
Yeah, it all starts with one lead, right? I remember the CEO owner saying, "Hey, could you buy some leads?" And it was new to me, right? And I always thought of purchasing leads as maybe Google Ads or things like that, but
Yep.
it grew from one or two leads all the way in our peak. I was purchasing somewhere between 15 to 20,000 leads a month. And I think over the course of 5 years, ended up spending between 10 and $11 million and purchasing close to um, you know, 250,000 leads. And in California and like other hot markets, a home service lead or a solar lead can be anywhere from $30 all the way up to 100 plus.
And I know we see a lot of those same numbers when it comes to buying window leads and things like that are definitely in the 30 plus range there, and depending on your market and stuff. And so that's what kind of brought you, correct me if I'm wrong, to Active Prospect itself, was the idea that you utilize their service to help you manage and convert. When you're getting that many leads in, it's almost like an overload. Like, hey, what do we handle? What do we handle first? What are the hot ones to get to? Could you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So before coming on board and selling software, I was a client of Active Prospect for about 5 years. I actually had used the technology all the way back in 2014. And I think you said it right. When you're buying a couple hundred leads, you can manage with a spreadsheet or Excel. But when you get into the thousands and certainly into the tens of thousands, it's impossible to do your job properly, which I consider lead acquisition the ability to purchase the best and highest quality leads for my sales team and to drive the cost to the lowest point for our CFO and for your team. And essentially couldn't do it, right? Was simply capturing the leads like most out there, where you're just getting leads into your CRM and ultimately in your dialer. But quickly realized that once you get into the volume of thousands, that you needed another layer, which Active Prospect is a lead management tool for consent-based marketing. And we believe consent-based marketing is the safest channel, most scalable, and most cost-effective channel for customer acquisition. And so I needed to find other technologies out there to help navigate those leads properly into our system. And I kind of think of it, I use a lot of analogies like air traffic control is a good analogy, or think of it as a highway, right? You need to have air traffic control in order to land and take off all those planes. You might not need air traffic control if you're bringing in one or two planes, but when you get into the hundreds and certainly thousands, you definitely need a layer of sophistication, such as lead management.
Absolutely. And I see, I think the solar industry has done a very good job at embracing technology, and really scaling and making that grow. Whereas I think a lot of the traditional home services in home improvement companies, change is difficult for anybody. But what I've seen in my journey is, that companies that have really embraced technology, which we're going to talk a lot about that here, is I can't think of any of the guys that that are north of 10 million that aren't using multiple technologies. Most of those companies have gone paperless. They don't even have paper contracts anymore. They're using iPads and with a lot of different programs and stuff like that on there to make that customer experience paperless, more technology, easy to get documents and to go to things, even all the way down to some of the old marketing methods, for example, that I consult on, canvassing, just the technology that's around, canvassers today, showing events, to being able to digitally capture that lead and get it sent into your system. There's just all sorts of technology, and I see some of the best companies out there today, have embraced that. But if you were going to maybe talk to a listener that has a small company that's just starting out, maybe been in a business for a few years, or maybe been around a long time, inheriting a mom and pop organization kind of thing, what are some of the first steps you would give them when it comes to lead acquisition and of course conversion on that when it comes to technology?
Yeah, I think one of the very first steps is get yourself a CRM or a customer relationship management software or database. And there are tons of great CRMs out there, and I know everyone's heard the acronym, um, but customer relationship management is what it stands for. And I think that's the first step. I look at it as, when you're playing baseball, right? You want to play catch. You can play catch by just throwing the ball back and forth, but you're going to hurt your hand, right? You really need a MIT, which is what a CRM is. You figure a consumer, which is the eyeballs or the consent that's coming in and being thrown to you, right? Some consumer is raising their hand and saying, hey, I need a roof, I need windows, I need solar. Well, in order to properly catch them, you need to have a CRM, and there's a number of them out there. I think the most well-known, obviously, is Salesforce, which has been around, going strong, and really created, the cloud term. But there's also many other ones out there. Salesforce can be is used by most enterprise brands, but there's a lot of specific industry CRMs such as Job Progress, Job Nimbus, AccuLinks, which is heavy in the roofing area, Improve It 360, which is part of our network and part of our clientele. There's tons of CRMs out there. A lot of them are tailored specifically for roofing, or if you're in the servicing industry for HVAC. There's a lot of them that are solar specific as well. So I would say that the first step is getting the CRM.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And for the most part, I think, if we would be having this conversation 10 years ago, there was a good majority of people that didn't have a CRM yet, that were, doing business the old-fashioned way, so to say. But
Yep.
I think for the most part, I would say, if not a full 100%, pretty dang close to it, of people that are using some type of, technology when it comes to that. And again, as you mentioned, there is a lot of different ones out there, and some that are very, very industry specific, or even project specific, like you said, roofing, or, windows, or solar, or services, or whatever it may be. And so let's assume for the most part they've found their CRM, and they're at least utilizing that. One of the things I've always kind of found interesting, and I've had, a lot of different clients that I talk to, they're always interested in looking at a different CRM and switching to a different CRM because, it doesn't do something they want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said, for the most part, most of the CRM, especially the industry specific ones, can do exactly what you're wanting it to do. You're just not quite understanding it, or, kind of the analogy that garbage in, garbage out, right? If you put it in there wrong, it's always going to be wrong. You're not going to get the result that you want. And I would have to say that's runs true through most of the technology that are utilized in the companies, that if it's not set up right and you don't have someone managing that and making sure it stays right, what you get out of it's not always what you want. And so that would kind of be my first step that I would add in. What do you think about that?
No, I would agree with that. I think sometimes people think of CRMs and computers, especially if you're somewhat of an older contractor and been doing and had a lot of success. You just figure like, hey, I've had a lot of success for the last 20, 30 years. I don't need some of these things. But like anything in our society, everything's being internet driven, and the ability to get a CRM and to have somebody on staff, or to choose a CRM who's going to help you. And the ones that I mentioned earlier are best in class. And there's so many out there. There's too many to name. But I believe in the old saying of you get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking to spend $20, $30 on a CRM, you're going to get the support and the functionality of $20 or $30. Rather than if you're spending hundreds or thousands. I really look at a CRM as a marketing cost. You definitely need it.
Yes.
And the time compression that a contractor can have in taking their funnel, which when someone comes into your business and all the way to the operation side, that time compression, there's so many different levels and different pieces that you can compress to not only get more of your time back for your own family, but to give a better customer experience. And that's what clients are looking for in today's age, right? They're looking for, when someone gets a quote, they're not looking for the contractor to spend, days getting back to them on the phone, coming to their house in a truck, giving them a paper quote that's on carbon copy. Like those times are gone. And if you're still focusing on that, you could still win some business, obviously, but the contractors that I see that are scaling, that are going from, 10 years ago, they weren't around to now doing hundreds of millions of dollars. They're using technology, CRM capability, and all types of different other tech stack to condense that process and really change the way that they treat customers and ultimately charge more because they're giving off that brand of, hey, I can do the job because look at how I'm presenting our products to you.
Yes, with that in mind, I mean, just kind of following up on, what you said there about companies that weren't around 10 years ago that, have quickly risen, as you said, Ruben, to even hundreds of millions of dollars. I almost feel like those companies started with tech in mind. A lot of those companies were founded by, younger people, not that older people don't embrace technology or anything like that, but you see that happening more and more relevant. And even getting now too, where a lot of the big tech boom and those younger generations are starting to buy houses. I mean, even though for the most part, if I talk to most of my clients, and I'm sure you'd say the same, is that they're targeting that late 40s, 50s, 60-year-old person that owns a home, family. That's like that perfect gold standard lead, right, that you could get. But I think for the most part, 20-somethings and 30-somethings are definitely embracing the technology that's there at going online, reviews, all that kind of stuff. They're looking at all that before you as the company may even know they're in the market. And so kind of going into those next steps, okay, they got the CRM. What's some of that additional tech that they can use to really help with lead converting and acquisition?
Yeah, I think in terms of tech, obviously the CRM, we talked about that being like the catcher. I think once you have, and you're in the game with the CRM, I think the next layer is a telephone system or a telephonic setup. A lot of people call them dialers. And, I think when you think of a dialer, or if you think of a call center, I think people think of like AT&T or maybe ADT and all these big, huge buildings that have like hundreds or thousands of people on the phone. But really, there's a lot of contractors out there doing great business who have one or two people on the phone who are setting appointments, and you don't need to have a massive call center to run a call center. You really don't. Whether you have a sales team of 2, 3, 5 people, or whether you have a sales team of hundreds, you really need to have the ability to outbound and message those homeowners who are raising their hand, not only expediently, but in a way that is human. And I think, how do we communicate nowadays, right? Most of us will respond to an SMS or a text message before you'll listen to a voicemail that somebody left you.
If they ever listen to the voicemail.
Yeah, if you ever, I don't, right? I look at my phone, I go, oh, my mom called or somebody called, let me call her back. So I think it's important to have the right messaging or the right outbound capability before you start investing and getting all these leads or start, spending money out there. You really want to have the ability to capture those leads and the ability to outbound and message properly. And if you have those two tools, well, then you're in the game. You're ready to go out there and start partnering with all the phenomenal lead sources that are out there.
And a quick response time, right? If you're going to be purchasing leads, you need to have the ability to connect with them essentially immediately.
Yeah, the old term, speed to lead, right? Speed to lead, the ability to purchase a lead, which if you're spending $30, $100, very expensive, and the ability to outbound or to reach that customer who had just went online, filled out a web form, is maybe still in front of their computer. The ability for you to phone them, get them right when they're in that outreach or that action mode, and be able to go, hey, Mr., hey, Mrs., you just filled out a form on either our website or a partner site, and I'm one of the best roofing or window companies, and we'd like to make an appointment. Let me ask you a few questions. that ability to get into that conversation while that homeowner is in the right mode or in the mode of looking around for a service provider is crucial.
Absolutely. And what is some technology you had mentioned, like messaging, text messaging, dialers and things like that? What is some of the technology that you recommend around that?
Yeah, well, you actually had one of our integration partners and one of the best-in-class providers I think you had Chris on your show.
I did,
I think
yeah.
on the last episode, and Hatch. I mean, they're blowing up, right? We're partnered with them. We work with a lot of the same clients. I think clients who are using our services are also using their services. They're listed in our integration catalog. But Hatch is definitely going to be one of them. The ability to SMS, the ability to send a cadence that's automated, whether it's via email, SMS, phone calls, that's critical. So I see a lot of people using what I would consider a messaging platform. I think another growing home service technology, which is in the mobile design software realm, would be Hover. If you're not familiar, they're a 3D design software where a homeowner can take their phone, walk around their home, and take, I think it's 6 or 8 photos of the different angles of their house.
Yep.
And within, I think 10 or 15 minutes, be able to get a 3D rendering of their home. And if you're a contractor, back in the day or even today, getting on a roof and using your tape measure and I mean, you still do that, right? It's kind of part of the process. But nowadays, modern contractors aren't spending as much time doing that. They're spending the time with the consumer, getting to know them, rather than doing all these things, because now they have technologies like a Hover that can automate. I think their accuracy is like 99% or something crazy like that, where you can get measurements on windows, you can get it on roofing, you can get it on siding,
Gutters, even gutter lengths.
Yeah, gutters, and also think of the workers' comp component to this, right? I mean, I know from my family's business, workers' comp, like most contractors, is one of the biggest expenses you pay all year, and the ability to reduce that risk of getting up on a roof or doing some of these things that involve ladders, that's a huge factor there. So that could play into removing or not necessarily removing, but reducing the liability or the risk and increasing your revenue by spending more time with that clientele. So I would say those 2 tools, messaging platforms, design software, I think those are some of the key pieces that I see a lot of modern contractors using.
Yeah, absolutely. And so kind of just to recap what we've been talking about already is, you could essentially purchase a lead from a lead aggregator online of someone that mentioned somewhere online that they're possibly interested in having this project done. Yep. Get that lead, connect with that consumer immediately through the use of your CRM, dialer, and messaging apps, for example, like Hatch that you mentioned, as well as then actually see the home, get the measurements, and essentially have all this done in a game plan before you even go out and meet with the customer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as a contractor, think about that ability and that stickiness where if you're going to go meet with a homeowner and they've actually not only filled out the web form, and when you say lead aggregators or lead sources, who are we talking about, right? We're talking about some of the majors, Home Advisor, obviously Angie's List, which are part of the same company. You have companies out there like Quinn Street and Modernize. You have Porch, you have House, you have Yelp. These are all massive internet, sites, organizations that are feeding contractors all over the U.S. I mean, when I go not just for home services, but when I want to find something to eat, where am I going? I'm going to Yelp, right? I'm looking for reviews. I'm looking to see, before I make that phone call, how does this contractor treat others in my community? And online reviews has become one of the most powerful components of marketing, because people want to know, hey, I don't want to be the first one to trust this guy with my roof or my windows. Like, I need to know, is this guy legit or is this person legit? So um, I think, utilizing those technologies and the consumer or the homeowner who is not only going online and filling out these forms for this service, but is also participating in the process, not just kind of like, hey, let me get a quote. And for all the contractors listening, you guys all know what I'm talking. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's the homeowner who's getting like 5 or 10 quotes for their window. And honestly, they just kind of want to chat, right? Like, maybe they're retired, or, maybe they really want to just look at 10 different quotes. But, just think about the engagement level of someone who has filled out an online form, has responded to your SMS, set an appointment, and now has gone ahead and taken the steps of, taking photos of their home so that when you arrive, you guys respectfully can have a conversation about the nuts and bolts of the project, rather than, just kind of letting you get up on their roof or letting you measure and then saying, yeah, just send me a quote, which unfortunately sometimes too often happens in the bidding process.
Right. And you brought up a major point there, reviews. And this is something that in this last year or so, I've put a big focus on my consulting practice with Tony Hody Training and Consulting on creating our brand ambassador program. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but we've really put a lot of focus on this last year at building that program out. And that's essentially a marriage of kind of old way of marketing, that face-to-face marketing, and branching it kind of that online, offline conversion of, having a marketer that might have only generated this amount of business the old way, but now utilizing some technology, utilizing review platforms and things like that can really make a huge impact on your business. I have brand ambassadors that are averaging over $1 million a year just with one marketer and the technology that they're using for repeat referral and, of course, radius marketing around, the job that they've done. But for the contractor that may not be to that point or have the ability to hire someone to do that and manage that program, there is tech-based programs too that'll allow you to help capture reviews, because you hit the nail on the head, Ruben, when you said, people are going online and they're looking and looking at your reviews and comparing them to, what else is out there in the marketplace. And for some of my clients that have utilized these programs and really made it an effort to get these reviews, when they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not even thousands of reviews that are all 5 stars, because essentially when you're going to get the review, you're using the technology and that person to really garner, the good reviews. We don't ever ask for a bad review, right?
Right.
So, any problems you can kind of negate, that review process with that consumer. And then, you may be someone else in your marketplace, they have, 27 reviews, of which case, if you're not actively getting good reviews, usually it's the bad reviews that have made it online.
Yeah. And you know what? We're all going to get them, right? Every contractor out there is going to get a bad review sometime, right?
Yes.
There's just somebody out there, you're not going to make them happy. You show up late or just something happens, maybe not even to your own fault. And just you go on Yelp and someone gave you a bad review. It's happened to my family's business. It happens to everyone's business. But the ability to know that that's going to happen and to drown out that one negative review with 10 positive, I mean, that's the key. There's a book called The Referral Engine by John Jantz. And if anybody is familiar with John Jantz, he wrote the duct tape marketing book, which was heralded. And I read that book 10 years ago, The Referral Engine. And if you're looking to build your referrals, this is a great book. But essentially, it talks about teaching your business to market itself. And what is a referral, right? Going back to what we're talking about, which it's a review, right? The online review is the modern day referral. What is somebody doing when they go online and give a review? They're giving their experience. They're giving a testimonial to the World Wide Web about their experience or their lack of services or great service. And if you're a contractor out there, the number one channel is referrals. You got to build your referral. And the way you do that is by getting your happy customers to become raving fans of you by going online. And once they go online and put that review, guess what? You now have an online referral. And some of the best companies out there that you'll see who grow their business grow it because they have a great online reputation, which kind of going back to CRMs 10 years ago, right? I know everyone service magic to Home Advisor, Angie's List, which is now owned by Home Advisor. You know, these websites such as Home Advisor, Service Magic, these were websites who were on the cutting edge, including Yelp, of online reviews. And I know from my uncle's, shout out to Uncle Andy and A&R Roofing in Los Angeles. He was on the cutting edge of getting online reviews. I think at one point he was the most highly rated roofing contractor in Los Angeles. And that phone never stopped ringing because as Angie's List grew or Yelp grew in popularity, being number one or in the top three just kept that phone ringing. Now, obviously nowadays it's a bit harder to kind of get on some of those sites, but nevertheless, if you get your happy customers to go online and write a testimonial, it's really like gold.
Yeah, and going back to back to the kind of the small guys that may not be able to compete with some of the big guys at where they're at on Angie's List and the advertising and things that go behind what that may or may not display.
Yep.
Is one is having they have technologies that'll allow you to see when you do get maybe an unfavorable review, so you can take action towards it. And we've had really, really good success at Tony Hody Training and Consulting with coaching clients on, hey, when that bad review does happen, because as you said, it will. It's not a matter of if, but when it will happen, no matter how good you are. We're all human. We're going to make a mistake at some point. But the ability to then take, to one, figure out that you got a bad review left, and then to take action on it, to make the change necessary. And, we've had very good success rates at getting people to take a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star review and redo it to be a 5-star review. And that's huge. I mean, I have clients that have, 300-400 reviews, and they're all 5 stars.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, we're talking about tech, right? Tech stack. I'll throw one that everyone is kind of using, or it seems like they're using, which is Podium. Podium is an online review kind of platform capture service that I know a lot of home service companies are using. And then on the referral side, I'm always going to shout out some of our integration partners because you can easily use them with our technology, but Get the Referral, which is GTR, they're a software as a service referral platform based out of San Diego, and they have hundreds of contractors using their technology. And to your point, having the ability to have the right technology, not only to capture reviews, but then to farm the referrals from your happy customers. I mean, there's plenty of contractors out there just building their business off of those two channels.
Absolutely. And so that kind of brings us, to the next point here on, you had mentioned on consent-based marketing, and I want to touch base on essentially, your company and what that helps do with technology when it comes to you've acquired that lead and, what tech can be there to help convert that or to know what to focus on. And so, specifically talking about Active Prospect, you're buying these leads. How does that tech help get you from point A to, a customer, a sale?
I appreciate you asking. I think so. You probably heard me mention it before. It's called CBM, or consent-based marketing. And that's the focus of our technology. We believe that CBM, consent-based marketing, is the safest, most scalable, and cost-effective marketing channel for customer acquisition. Now, keep in mind, I said customer acquisition, not lead acquisition, because when most people think of marketing, you think of leads. And, what we encourage contractors and what we're encouraging our clients and why clients come to us is people are tired of wasting money on the wrong leads because of, either fake leads or duplicates or leads they can't contact, or they're non-compliant, or they're not even real buyers. And the goal of CBM is to focus on the leads that are most likely to become your customers. And those types of leads are leads that are real, they're unique, they're contactable, they have a real phone number, they're qualified, they're actually a homeowner who own a home and wants a service, and they're compliant. You can legally call this person because they gave what's called express written consent for you to call them. And let me take a moment with that specific piece there. Express written consent. What is that? Well, in the digital age, if you think about the last web form, if you're listening, the last web form that you filled out, or if you're a contractor and you have a website, when anyone ever fills out a web form or fills out their information, there's always that little checkbox, right, Kyle? It's like real small, no one ever reads it, but essentially it's a boilerplate that says, by clicking here, you're allowing this company, this brand, to outbound or reach you through phone, SMS, or dialing technology. It says something to that effect. Well, most companies now, you have to provide that, and that's essentially the express written consent. And what that does is that's like a golden ticket. When somebody submits that, what that does is that's essentially them digitally raising their hand and giving you authorization to call them on their cell phone or the number that they've given or the email that they've given. And you can do that even if they're on the federal or state do not call list, because they've given you express written consent. So that's what consent-based marketing is all about. It's about focusing on the leads who've given you express written consent and who are most likely to become your customers. And if you're able to focus on those customers, then you're going to have a better and higher chance of winning more business at a lower cost.
Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing is being able to spend the majority of your time connecting with, the people that essentially get you the majority of the money, right? If you're spending all this time just focusing on 100% of the stuff that you have, a lot of that can be, wasted dials, so to say, like you had brought up. And so when you have something, like Active Prospect, or some way to quantify the leads that are coming in are what is most important. Unfortunately, I always say the joke is, what's urgent and important? Well, everything's urgent and important in home improvement and home services, right? Every day it's a, hunt and kill mentality to go out and get leads, get them converted into, issued appointments that can demo and possibly sell. And so I always liked it, through my roles as, marketing manager, directors, and those kind of things, is any technology or anything that I could do to make it happen quicker, more seamless, with less effort or less payroll behind it. And the more efficient we can make somebody, if, before they could maybe connect, with and get 2 or 3 sets, a day, if they can turn around and by utilizing technology, turn that into 10 sets a day, well, let's utilize that technology, that cost makes sense at that point.
Absolutely. And if you think about, like, in marketing, right, if you're an owner, you only have so much time, right? You only have so many dollars to invest in marketing. And I use the word channel, and you think of channel as a channel on a television, but every marketing avenue is a channel, right? Direct mail is a channel, television is a channel, radio is a channel, digital lead acquisition is a channel. And so, I think of these as channels, and where do I want to put my time? And the time that I want to put, where I'm going to focus my time as an owner is on the 3 things that I mentioned, right? Safest, scalable, and cost effective. So when you talk about safety, you're not just talking about, you're talking about your legal safety, right? Not getting sued for TCPA, you're calling people, but you're also talking about safe for your brand, right? Are you engaging in a marketing channel that's going to piss a bunch of people off? As well as I know, when you get these phone calls late night by telemarketers, no one likes that. No one likes to get called from somebody they never asked to be called by. And that, when you do that, you're putting your brand in risk, And there's financial implications by doing that. And a lot of companies are out there doing that, and we just don't believe in that. The second piece is, is this channel going to help my brand? Is it safe for me? And well, if it's safe, then the next thing you want to think about is it cost effective? Is it am I able to I'm sorry, the next piece is scalable. Is it something that I can scale? Is it something that I can invest in? And certainly with digital lead acquisition, there's tons of great partners out there. We mentioned a bunch of them: Home Advisor, QuinStreet, House. So there's all types of partners out there, and there's tons of leads to be purchased. And then the second piece, or the third piece, is cost effective. Can you focus on the leads that are most likely to convert? Can you engage in a channel and be able to validate and eliminate duplicates or uncontactable or fraudulent leads? And then can you verify that the information is valid, right? And a lot of the older channels, such as direct mail and television and radio, which a lot of contractors can be comfortable with, those don't give you that ability. Whereas with digital lead acquisition, you can validate the information. You can use technology, you can use our technology to validate. And one of the things we say is we're the only company that can tell you if a lead fits your customer profile, is a real lead, is in your target market, and is from a source likely to convert and be contactable and not be one of your current customers. So, use technology, and engaging in lead acquisition is for everybody. And, it's 2021. And if you're not in lead acquisition, digital lead acquisition, now is a great time to learn.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And that kind of brings us to the last segment of the show, Ruben, called Power's Powerful Point. What powerful point do you have for the listeners today?
To go off the last thought here, digital lead acquisition is for everyone. It's not just for young tax savvy firms that know how to run Google ads or know how to run Facebook. The migration away from traditional channels to digital online form fills, it's happened, and it's going to continue to grow as homeowners become younger and as they require a modern way of requesting a quote, getting a bid, and selecting a home service provider for that job. So I would say that lead acquisition is for everyone. And I like to take the approach of try something, do a little bit of it. And if it works, do a little bit more. And if it doesn't, pull back. Give yourself time and be patient with the learning curve of engaging in lead acquisition, because it's not going away. It's only going to continue to grow as Google and Amazon and Facebook and all these online sites become the go-to place for the new modern homeowner.
Absolutely. And Ruben, if they want to get a hold of you, the listeners, and take a look at maybe what Active Prospect can do for them, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can always email me at Ruben, RUBEN, at activeprospect.com. You can go to our website, www.activeprospect.com. You can find me on LinkedIn as Solar Junkie. We're here to help. We're helping brands grow. We're helping them, stay safe, scale, and be cost effective. And I just appreciate you, Kyle. I love your show. Shout out to all the past guests you've had on here, including Peter Crum and Chris. And I just appreciate you having a great conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to probably having you on the show at another point.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Lead Gen Leaders Podcast. For a free consultation on how Tony Hoty Training and Consulting can assist with your home remodeling business, please visit TonyHoty.com. That's TonyHoty.com. Thank you for listening.